Season 3, baby! Yeah! It's pretty funny. The other day I logged on to Twitter and I saw all the political barf that was on it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe Twitter has outlived its goodness, right? But then something like this happens, and that, led by Greg Wiseman, producer Greg Wiseman, people have been really pulling for Young Justice in particular on social media, Twitter included. So it's like, okay, I'll take the political barf that's all over this thing sometimes if it'll also give me Young Justice Season 3. Ooh, so exciting. So yes, it's official. Warner Brothers Animation has put out a press release saying that Young Justice Season 3 is not just happening, but it's going into production right now. But they haven't said where it's going to air or when. That is to be revealed at a later date. But Brandon Vietti and Greg Wiseman, the producers on the original first two seasons, are indeed returning. And Greg Wiseman is responsible for that gargoyles goodness. One of the reasons I think that Young Justice was so good. Young Justice was like one of those great animated series that crossed over to adults, right? I would put it up there with Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra, which followed up on that. And I think it's one of those shows that carries on the mantle. Like a lot of animated shows want to, but Young Justice really is in the same vein of what Bruce Timm and Paul Dini accomplished with their Batman, Superman, and Justice League animated series. So that's pretty high praise for Vietti and Wiseman to be next to Dini and Tim, right? I think they've earned it, though. So because we know nothing about what's going to happen in Season 3, that leaves only speculation. But that's okay. We're cool with that. We're good with speculation. So I'm going to give you my list of the top 5 things I'd like to see in Season 3 of Young Justice. Okay, so as I tweeted when I heard the news, Miss Martian better be a lead character. That's my number 1. Because sure, it's a lot of fun to introduce their, Young Justice's version of other DC characters, and I don't want that to stop, of course, but I want Miss Martian to be a lead because McGann is part of the spine of the show. She's been a character that we have been following through both seasons, and she's had some, I think, of the most storylines and change of anybody there. For instance, her romance with Superboy was one of the top and only personal storylines on the show. That and Artemis and Kid Flash, right? But also, her White Martian reveal was a really big deal. A big enough deal that when they just did it on Supergirl, everybody watching was like, okay, hurry up. We all know she's a White Martian. Also, the reveal of how she came up with her human appearance, and that was from the old sitcom Hello, Megan, which was brilliant. Stuff that was really well written that really, I think, made an impression on us viewers. So that's, I think, one of the reasons we have such a strong connection with McGann. But then, in Season 2 of Young Justice, she changed her appearance in a different way after breaking up with Superboy, and that was that she, this was a way more relatable to those of us who are Earth girls, and that's it. She cut her hair and started wearing black. I think that was fantastic. And she also became much more powerful. So McGann, I think, is one of the few characters on the show, perhaps, I think, the only character, really, to have strong A and B storylines and arcs throughout Seasons 1 and 2 of Young Justice. So you gotta continue. I also think what helps the character stand out in the show is that she is relatively new to the DC universe in general. In fact, she was only created in 2006 by Jeff Johns. Come on, Jeff, look out for your girl, right? Now that you're heading up the entire DCEU. And so I think that a lot of the development for the character took place on Young Justice. They were able to define her in many ways instead of having to compete with some comic book version, right? And right now, Supergirl is competing with the Young Justice version, with their version of Miss Martian. And so far, we're finding it lacking. So I would love to see her get even more development on a Young Justice Season 3. I think Harley Quinn, who also, Harley Quinn originated in animation, but Miss Martian, I think, has thrived in animation. I would love to see her character go all the way. And sure, she's already appeared on Supergirl, but Arrow tried out Suicide Squad. They gave them a test run before they got a movie, so I would love to see Miss Martian. Amy Adams let slip that they're working on Man of Steel 2. How about getting Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian in there, right? I'd be really excited about that. So that's my number 1. Number 2, speaking of Suicide Squad, let's get some DCEU influences going on in Young Justice. Young Justice, again, has lots of cameos through its first 2 seasons. They're like, here's what we're going to do with this character, and here's our version of this character. And I think it would be great to get Suicide Squad and other DCEU properties reflected in the series. Because you know what? While not all these things are in the same universe, the TV shows, the animation, the movies, it would be really nice for them to start at least supporting each other and backing each other up and just strengthening the fan relationship with these characters, right? I think that would be really nice to see instead of them competing with each other instead for who gets who. So Suicide Squad, they already had Amanda Waller show up in Young Justice, and I would love to see Harley Quinn. Maybe she and Miss Martian could have a team-up episode. That would be amazing. Also, just all the other, any other DCEU characters, the new Lex Luthor, I think it would be really great. And I know that, for instance, they tried to redefine the characters themselves a little bit on Young Justice, like they did their own version of the Joker, a little bit of a Dapper Dan character. I've always said Heath Ledger's Joker was kind of Dapper Dan-like, but this was like even more in that direction. But yeah, I would. Sorry, I think again, I'd like to see these divisions working together. So and that would get a lot of viewership too, and bring new viewers to Young Justice. All the Suicide Squad fans, and Young Justice could certainly use the attention, so it doesn't get canceled again. All right, number 3. Let's do the time jump again. Now, as anyone who watched Young Justice knows, between seasons 1 and 2, they jumped 5 years. Very popular thing to do on TV, particularly back in around 2012, 2013 when season 2 aired. Like Desperate Housewives did a time jump. It was like happening all the time. See what I did there? But I don't know how much the time jump they can do for season 3 before they stop being Young Justice, right? They'll become Adult Justice. So maybe they could start off with like a storyline in the future, our favorite thing where like everything's gone to crap and our characters find a way to reset time, like Days of Future Past style, and then have so we can get our futuristic storyline, a glimpse of our characters as adults, and then rewind so it's still technically Young Justice. That would be fun, I think. Then number 4, Damian Wayne. I want him on the show. Sorry, Tim Drake fans, but don't you feel like I was looking at when this story broke, everybody had pictures of the old Young Justice lineup, and I was like, man, Tim Drake's so PG-13 compared to Damian Wayne. And considering how intense things are these days, thanks to Fox largely with Logan and Deadpool, I really like Damian. I think he's just such an exciting character. He's the current Robin, and that should be reflected in the show, right? Again, let's support each other, DC divisions. And I think his character dynamic would be great here. Also, he's already in Rebirth Teen Titans, helping with that team. So far, so good. It got me reading Teen Titans again. And he's also been proven to be very popular in the animated movies that they've done with him. I don't think he's been adapted as well as he's been done in the comics. So let's see Young Justice get him just right. Because Damian Wayne is another character I want to see make the jump in terms of popularity. I feel he has what it takes to go all the way, but he needs more exposure and more support. And so I would love to see Young Justice do that. And again, you have to have the current Robin. All right, Tim Drake doesn't have to, I believe he's currently dead in Rebirth. I picked up Teen Titans again, and I was like, oh, I must have missed a lot. Apparently, Tim Drake's dead. But he could be doing something else. It can be Red Robin and Young Justice. I just want Damian Wayne, the Robin, on the team. And then finally, number 5, use their animation advantage, because let's face it. Today there are tons of DC shows on the small screen, right? There's a whole slew of them over on the CW, and there's even one over on Fox, which I enjoy, even though it's the runt of the litter to many. But anyway, with so many DC adventures taking place on the small screen, I would hate for Young Justice just to be like this weird animated offshoot, right? I mean, they already kind of did that with Vixen off of the CW, and then she came into the live action, right? So I don't want Young Justice to play like it's related to these other CW shows. No offense to CW shows, but I think Young Justice is a little bit better. But anyway, so I wanted to keep to stay as its own thing. So because it's animation, I think it needs to push the pedal to the metal where it can and where it has an advantage. Again, that animation advantage over its live action counterparts. That means action, more action. Now, Young Justice has never been a slouch in the animation department, but they need to turn it up to an 11. I want to see amazing action sequences like we saw in The Legend of Korra. I think the Legend of Korra action was some of the best I've ever seen in animation, to the point where I was like, where's my animated movie for adults, please? So let's see that kind of action on Young Justice. I also want to see character choices that suit animation. Like, do the character that live action is going to have a hard time adapting, right? Although I have to say, the CW is pretty darn good at utilizing their budgets, and I would never have guessed the Flash would be able to do King Shark as well as they have. So it's going to be tough for Young Justice, but I think they can do it. And then also location. Pick the space adventures, have the big sets, the big expansive adventures that take place over multiple locations, right? Like they had an island with a volcano. Keep doing stuff like that. The things that live action cannot do, and that will continually keep you a couple of steps ahead of them, right? So those are my top 5 ideas for Young Justice Season 3. I'm curious what you would like to see on Season 3. There are so many choices, and so I'm curious. I'm sure many of you have Miss Martian on your list as well. All right, so write your thoughts down below. Thank you so much for going over this with me. I will review Young Justice episode by episode when it airs. I think that's super exciting, and you can check out some more videos right now.